All right, welcome back, fellow escapees. And in this video, I'm going to get a little vulnerable. I'm going to share my story with you guys regarding alcohol and drinking, as well as some other stories. And I want to share with you guys how alcohol, from my research and from what I am gathering, is destroying our finances. So the debt we're having, the lack of finances, the struggles we're having in this country, yes, some of it has to do with jobs and career paths and salary, like I've made in the other videos, but I have tied a lot of financial issues to alcohol related cases as well. So I'm going to share that in today's video. I have my notes right here. If you see me looking down, I just got so much to teach you guys in this video that I'm going to have to use these notes because I don't want to forget anything. I would say on this channel, this is going to be one of the most important videos that I have ever made in my life. I really feel passionate about this video. I feel like this video needs to be made. It needs to finally get out there that there is a problem in our society with this drinking. It has been promoted way too much on our social media platforms, in our TV shows, in our movies, in our commercials. It's starting to get to the point where the marketers have gotten so good that they're now making the drinks look more fruitier. So now the kids, like it. Because I remember alcohol. I don't remember having all those like fruity looking labels and colors to them growing up. I could be wrong because I didn't pay a lot of attention to alcohol. But growing up in a Black community and an impoverished community, one of the things that destroyed our community as we were coming out of segregation and civil rights and all those issues there, one of the things that was known to destroy our community was alcoholism. Besides the drug epidemic, which some people say was done by the CIA, the FBI, to implant those into the Black community to destroy the Black community. So once we had a crack epidemic growing up in the Black community, but we also had an issue with a lot of the young men being on a corner. They were unemployed, high unemployment rate for the young males at that time, and the fathers and sons and everything. So a lot of them didn't have any resources, and just opportunities at that time because of all the racial discrimination and segregation. So a lot of them would go to the corner liquor store. You see a lot of them hanging out on the corner, like as winos. I do remember there was a time where the Nation of Islam tried to come in and clean it up and, talk to them and say, hey, you could do better, brother. You don't want to be on this corner, destroying your life with this alcohol. But besides that, there was a time in our history called Prohibition. It was from the 1920s to the 1930s. And I've heard about Prohibition. I remember hearing about it or seeing some kind of documentary on it growing up. But I didn't drink at that time, so it didn't really resonate with me. I'm just like, okay, I hear this thing called Prohibition, but I don't know much about Prohibition, right? I don't drink alcohol. My mother and father didn't drink alcohol because they were very religious people. So I really didn't look into Prohibition. But when I looked into Prohibition for this video, and I also posted an article on my YouTube channel under our, our blog column called Posts. I posted an article about that, so you guys can check that out as well. But during the 1920s and 30s, the reason why they had to even implement this law was because of what alcohol was doing to the people. So they kind of knew back then what alcohol was doing to our society. They said our crime was high. They said people were being really frisky and immoral and not following the Bible and not, because the United States of America is a Christian country. So they weren't following, God's law, and they were just acting pretty risque, according to some of these articles. They also had domestic violence issues. They had, like I said, crime. So one of the reasons it started to come back was because the government needed revenue. First, they bootlegged it, the mafia and things like that, the criminals, they would bootleg it, and then they would sell it. So the government's like, kind of like where we are today with marijuana. The government's like, well, I'm not getting a cut of that, so let me get my cut and let's make it legal again. But what I'm trying to say is they knew back then it was destroying lives. And they still kept this stuff legal. I'm going to get into it right now. Alcohol destroys lives. We're going to talk about it. I know it's hard to, get it out of your life if you've already been so addicted to it or grown up just thinking there was nothing wrong with it, because that's what they do in society. They always make you think there's nothing wrong with the things you're doing, especially when it comes to sin. They're always like, well, there's nothing wrong with, doing this. There's nothing wrong with doing that, because they want you on these, doing these things so they could profit off of it. Another thing I wanted to talk about, which I totally just came to my mind, was casinos. Gambling is against most major religions. If you're a religious person, if you're a believer, gambling is not, acceptable. And yet they try to make gambling acceptable. So you just got to look at, go back to religion. Even if there's people watching this video and they're like, I'm not religious at all. I'm here for my finances, which I'm going to get into. I don't care what these religions are saying, because I'm an atheist or whatever. I understand that. But if you go back to a lot of these religious books, the Bible, the Quran, the Torah, Buddhism, any of the major religions, they're going to show you that, there are consequences to these actions if you decide to do it. So there's consequences to drinking, which is outlawed, which is not accepted in the Islamic culture. In the Middle East, there's places in Saudi Arabia you can't even get alcohol. So they can run a whole country, in Saudi Arabia and not have alcohol freely on their billboards and in their commercials and all that, and they can run the whole country. So there's places like that. I'm sure there could be a few more that I can name, but there's countries still to this day that are saying, no, let's ban alcohol, let's keep it banned, because this is what's going to happen to our people if we don't keep it banned. So, but if you look at the major religions, it always says alcohol. If you're follow the 10 Commandments. If you're stealing, there's consequences. If you're having sex outside of marriage, there's consequences. There's just consequences to not living in the way that God has ordained for us to be. So we can get into that another time, but this alcohol is really destroying lives. Guys, okay, let's get into it. So they say alcohol is a neurotransmitting disruption. So it basically disrupts our brain. We know that. We've seen what happened to people when they're on alcohol. I had a coworker. I was working at this oil company. We had a Christmas party. They made it very clear to everyone at the Christmas party. Since I was running the office, I know they sent out emails. They posted it around the office. When the Christmas party comes up, if anyone needs a cab, we are willing to pay for the cab. The email went out, I want to say even the day before the party. One of our coworkers decided, so one of our coworkers had two. This is before Uber, you guys. Just so you guys know, there was no Uber, no Lyft, but we do have taxis. Now the thing is about Texas is our taxis is not like Chicago and New York. You can't flag them down. They're not readily available for you. Taxis are slow in Texas. They're not like it's before Uber or Lyft. You have to call them. They have to know where you are. They come and get you. It's not Chicago and New York where you can, in London and stuff, you can just flag them down and there's plenty of them abundantly. That's not how taxis work in Texas. So I guess he didn't want to wait for his taxi. So he ended up, I believe he drove he drove from what I understand. So he didn't want to wait. Everyone was trying to take his keys from him. He says, no, I feel like I can drive. He pulls out the Omni Hotel. He hits a guy. He puts him in a coma during the Christmas holiday. Now imagine that, of course, the guy in a coma is already going to suffer. But imagine his family thinking daddy's coming in here. I believe he was an older man, married, children, from everything we gather. Think about how they're like, daddy's coming, grandpa's going to be here this Christmas, and he is in a coma. All because someone wanted to drink alcohol and get so drunk they couldn't control their alcohol. So my coworker was facing 25 years in prison, and why I say we, because the company helped a little bit and paid out $17,000 in lawyer fees for him. Now, my coworker also had a wife that did not work because he wanted his wife to be home with their 5-year-old, and she was pregnant with their second child. So he's messing up his career, which is at a good oil firm. He has put someone in a coma. He is facing up to 25 years because I don't think he has any, of course, because our company probably wouldn't have hired him. So he had a clean record as far as I'm aware of. So This is his first offense. I think he was facing up to 25 years in jail if the guy died. This is from one night of drinking. This is the devastation it caused this person's life. And everybody's like, well, you need to learn how to handle your alcohol. We need to learn, we need to take Ubers. I get all that. But according to the science and research and the prohibition, that's not how it works for our society. It is a drug. It is I don't know how to say the word, neurotransmitter disruption. We are assuming everyone's responsible. Everyone is such a disruption to the mind and the brain and the neurotransmitters that everyone who drinks it cannot have the same, or does not have the same reaction to it. Some people get very violent on alcohol. If I used to work in the restaurant business, a lot of fights will break out over alcohol. If you're at the bar's calm, everybody's laughing, everybody's drinking, all of a sudden, boom, the guy, boom, knocking each other across the bar. A few minutes ago, they were friends and happy, or they were doing well, and all of a sudden, people get knocked across the bar, and then they end up in jail, and then they end up with a, $2,000 to $5,000, $10,000, court fee to get out of jail, to get out of jail card or whatever. So this drug has really destroyed our nation. I really believe so. I think our crime has risen on alcohol-related incidents. I think the domestic violence and abuse has been a major problem. And a lot of those cases, if you ask police officers, are drug and alcohol related. Usually if the police officer shows up, the first thing they ask is, has he been drinking tonight? Because so many, and I'm not saying this person wasn't abusive already. What I'm saying is the alcohol elevated the aggression. What I've seen the most on alcohol is the mental health. We have a mental health crisis. Everybody's talking about, I'm going to work, I'm having a nervous breakdown, I'm having mental health issues going to work, working in corporate America, working these 9 to 5s. You probably are developing some kind of mental anxiety or mental health issues. You're developing them as being a mother and a father, I believe. I believe that you are working so much, you're working yourself into so much exhaustion that you don't take time out to heal and work on your body and yourself, and your body becomes out of line. So I do think that's happening. So what I think that alcohol is doing is, I think it's not what I've researched too, because I don't just think this, but what I've researched and found out that alcohol was doing was it is elevating the mental health issue. So if you have any kind of bipolarness, if you're having, as you're growing and you're just having some kind of mental health crisis at that moment in your life, it could be just you transitioning from teenage years to adulthood, from your 20s to your 30s, 30s to your 40s, 40s to your 50s. That transition, that progress that your body has to go through to make the changes that we don't get to feel, because we grow slowly, we age gradually, but we're changing. And people are like, well, when I met you in your 20s, you were one way. Now we've been married 10 years, been together, you're this way. Because people are evolving, right? And the brain's evolving. And the stuff that you've been putting in your brain since teenage years, college days, is affecting your mental health as well as your physical health. So alcohol has contributed a lot to a lot of mental health problems. They're saying, they even said that in the 1930s and the 1920s and 30s, that they noticed that it was causing a lot of mental health issues with people. So let's just say, Uncle Joe's just, he's Uncle Joe, he's doing well. As soon as he hit that drink, that other personality comes out and everybody's like, what's wrong, Uncle Joe? I believe, I need to stop saying I believe, because I've done the research too, but alcohol has been attributing to a lot of elevation in the hormones, as far as like when males are having desires towards people, and then maybe they're able to deal with those desires and say, hey, that may not be the appropriate thing to do with this young girl or this young boy, whatever. But once they get that alcohol in them, it all of a sudden, that little, where's my left side? There's my right side. Look, I can't even figure out. Listen, right, left side. But that little, remember back in the day on the cartoons, they had a little angel on one side, a little devil on one side, and then a little other, spirit starts talking to them, because they call it a spirit. And it starts telling them, it ain't nothing wrong with touching that person. There's nothing wrong with, stealing that car. There's nothing wrong with going out and murdering that person. And so I'm not saying that these people don't already have some kind of mental health issues. I'm saying the alcohol is adding to that. And even if you say, well, I've never been diagnosed with mental health issues, this video's not for me. What are you talking about? I can handle my alcohol. When I go out drinking, I'm fine. I get home safely. I take my Uber or Lyft. I don't beat on my wife or my husband or my children. I'm good on alcohol. Why are you making this video? This is not for me. Well, there's already been studies done that alcohol stays in the system for anywhere from up to 6 months. So when you're going out drinking, the alcohol is in your system for 6 months. It's also causing you weight gain in your chin. You'll start noticing that. Weight gain in your midsection if you're drinking a lot of beer, especially if you're drinking a lot of beers. Because I had a partner that loved beers, and it went all the way to the midsection. The belly got huge, looked like he's 8 months pregnant. Instead of me being 8 months pregnant, he's 8 months pregnant. So, it affects you. It causes your brain to be foggy. A lot of people have attested to this already, whether you're alcoholic, not an alcoholic, if you can control your liquor or not. Everyone and myself have already attested to this. It causes brain fog. So it causes you to kind of not be able to, like, you can think you can go to work, you're legally able to drive, you're considered sober by legal standards, but it almost causes like you to be in the haze. And I'm going to get into my story too, because I need to get into my story and tell you guys what I went through. And it took me a minute to figure this out. Let me see. I just don't want to miss anything. So there is a book called, I'm going to get into that in just a minute because I want to help you guys with this. So a lot of people, when I was doing my research, they started talking about how sluggish they would feel 2 to 4 days later. So it's like a night of drinking. Before they realized it was the drinking that was causing it, they would go out drinking on the weekend. These were not alcoholics that I was doing my research on. These were just people just saying, I work Monday through Friday. On the weekends, I was ready to go out and have me a little drink, have some fun with my friends, go to happy hour maybe hump day on Wednesday. So these were those kind of stories. They said even when they went out, they felt the effects 2 to 4 days later. Like, yes, they can get up and go to work, but they didn't have that energy that they used to have. They just felt so sluggish. They felt their mood swings. One guy said, if I can think back at every fight, every argument, and every reckless bad choice I ever made in my life, I was on alcohol the day that happened. And a lot of people can attest to that. I know a lot of couples fight. I've been around couples where I'll be at their house. We're having Thanksgiving. We're having some kind of dinner party, barbecue, and all of a sudden everything's going good. Everybody's laughing. Music's playing. We're having a good time. All of a sudden arguments start breaking out. Fights started breaking out. I'm up here talking to such and such, like, oh yeah, how's your kids? How's your day? Yeah. If you don't want to be in this house, you can get the hell out of it. And I'm just turning around like, what the hell just happened? We were all having a good time. What just happened here? And oh, well, you cheated on me with such and such. And I'm like, whoa. That all starts happening when the drinks flow. Before the drinks flow, everybody was doing well. Once the drinks got in their system, give it about hour and a half, 2 hours. Oh my God, the whole dynamics of atmosphere changed. You got to tear them apart. I've seen couples almost kill each other after they start having drinks. So drinking is like I said, it's a life. It destroys everything in your life. So there's some people I wanted to talk about. It's one of the ladies recently, about 3 weeks ago. Her name is Summer Wheaton. She's a social media influencer. She's a very gorgeous young lady. I actually never heard of her until this incident happened, but she has a large following. That means she was doing very well with her life. She had her, brand sponsor deals, and everything was going well for her. And I believe she was in Florida, Miami, about 3 weeks ago, about 3 weeks ago. And she killed someone in a DWI. So now I believe she's 25 years old or around that age, and her life has been destroyed. Okay. So there's Karen Huger. I don't know if I'm saying everybody's name right, if I mess people's name up. I also put this in the article underneath the post. You can just look it up yourself. But Karen Huger, she's one of the Real Housewives. She also ended up killing someone in the DWI. Daniel Silva, he's a well-known tattoo artist. And there was an NYPD officer, Joseph Gary. He killed 4 pedestrians. One of them was a pregnant woman and her child. Diana, I don't know, Schuler, maybe. She was driving the wrong way on a freeway and she killed 8 people. So it ruins lives. Like, it's not just DWI. Like I said, it could be DWI, but it's not always DWI. It could be other stuff like I just mentioned. It could be just you at a bar, and one guy, I remember he was at a bar, he hit somebody so hard he knocked him out and killed them. That's our legal drink. The legal drug is the drug that will, when you go to a bar, like when I go and drink, I drink Red Bulls. Well, not often, but if I go to a bar, I drink Red Bull, and I'll drink orange juice, just to make it look like I have a mixed drink, my Red Bull and orange juice. But I also, will drink Sprite and ginger ale, things like that when I do go out. I don't really drink sodas, but like if I'm at a bar or something, I don't want to be sitting there not drinking anything. Or if I'm at a club, not that I don't go that much anymore, but when you want to go out with your friends, I'll drink something, and it kind of looks like I'm drinking a drink, but it's not alcohol. But I drink that. I don't want to go around shooting people, killing people, assaulting them in a that S way. I don't want to say it because sometimes YouTube will ban the video if you say the word in a video sometimes. So I don't do that, right? On a Sprite, a Coke, or ginger ale, or Red Bull, right? But this drink alcohol will make people. I met one girl, and I said, "Oh, girl, you're pregnant. How? I don't know. I didn't know this girl. I just, I just social, and I was talking to her. Oh, girl, hey, when are you due? You look like you're about to pop any day now." She goes, "Oh, I'm due in a few months." And she said, well, and she started telling me her story. I didn't know this girl. Me and her just started talking. She said, well, you know what happened? One day I went to a bar, and me and my girlfriend were hanging out, and me and my husband had got into a fight. So I went to stay with my girlfriend, and we went out for drinks. And I ended up sleeping with a guy, and because the time frame she was away from her husband, she knew it wasn't her husband. And so she ends up getting pregnant by another guy, which she already had, I think, 2 or 3 kids with her husband, and her husband wanted to reconcile with her. So they did reconcile, she said, but she had to tell the other guy she's pregnant with his baby, and she didn't even know she was pregnant, she says, until because abortions were still legal, because I think at the time of this video, me making this video, we're going through that where they banned abortions. So, and I don't know by the time you see this video where they overturn that and you can start having abortions, whatever, but abortions were illegal still to do in Texas. And so she said by the time she found out, she was already too far past getting an abortion. So she had to go back to her husband, who wanted her back, wanted to bring their family back together. They did end up, according to her, getting back together, but she was pregnant. Like I said, I didn't keep up with her. I don't know where she is today, if it worked out or not. But she basically got drunk, had a one-night stand, and ended up, pregnant with some other dude she didn't even know's baby. She said the other guy did agree to help her with the baby, though. Those are the kind of life choices alcohol have caused, but I'm sure there's plenty more ways we can talk about how it's devastated people's lives. But let me get into my story. I want to just talk about and the reason I'm going to bring up celebrities, there are a lot of CEOs right now, and I don't know if this is a movement or whatever, that are starting to come out and say, I stopped drinking, and here, they're trying to encourage people to stop drinking. And because it's becoming such a problem in our society, in our relationships, that they are coming. Just Google, CEOs who gave up alcohol, or celebrities who gave up, social media influencers who were giving up alcohol. And the reason why I'm just bringing these people up is because they do contribute a lot to our society and our youth as influencers, because they promote a lot of TV shows, movies, things like that, and people listen to what they have to say. That's why when brands are trying to sell, just like car insurance commercials, food, whatever, you'll see they'll put a celebrity in there to help them promote the brand or the company. So I feel like they do have a lot of influence, especially the music artists. I feel like they have a lot of influence on our youth. So when you see them listen to like a lot of rap music, a lot of pop and hip hop, and they're talking about the turned up culture and getting turned up and turned up and turned up, and they're pouring liquor and they're just showing you bottle service in the club. So they're just showing you how to destroy your life. And they're also, a lot of them are drug addicts. So, because they talk about, at least in the hip hop culture, they talk about doing drugs, drinking lean, smoking weed, taking Molly, whatever the drugs are. I don't know because I don't do drugs, but whatever the drugs are. So you see that they're a lot, they promote that a lot. So that's why I want to say, I noticed there's a movement of people saying, I am giving up alcohol because I've seen what it has done to my community, or I've seen personally what it's done to my own family, or what it's done to my life. I cannot achieve I realized I wasn't achieving my highest potential and goals in life because of this alcohol. And that's where my story comes in. Like, okay, so I grew up, I have a big family, I have a lot of siblings. We never drink alcohol in our house. We never even seen alcohol in our house. Our parents never drink. And most of the people in our community, because we're surrounded by people who follow the same religion, and I never went to one party or one wedding where there was alcohol. Unless, like I said, it might have been like a Christian relatives, because we weren't raised Christian, we were raised Muslim, but maybe they had it. But in our community, nobody ever had one wedding, one baby shower, one party, basically, guys. Let me sum it up as one party where people were drinking alcohol at the parties or the weddings, and we had just as much fun. So how did I start drinking if I was raised around people who did not drink? So when I moved to the big city and left home to go to college, that's where it started. It started with working in the restaurant industry. You get off late at night. When you work in the restaurant industry, your friends become, like most people know you, waiters, servers, hostess. Your friends are people in the restaurant business, especially when you're younger. So you start hanging out because most restaurant employees work at night and work weekends, work holidays, then you're only off certain times, and you're not off when the 9 to 5 kind of folks are. So you're more off late after the restaurant closes. So where do we go? We go to the clubs and the bars. And so there is where, my friends started buying me drinks. I was young, maybe around 19. I was young, and I never had alcohol, so I didn't even know I was gonna change when I got on it. I mean, I saw people change, like morph in front of my eyes. But I had some drinks they gave me, and this is the thing, because I remember I forgot to say this earlier in the video. I remember growing up, and like grandpa, actually my grandpa did have alcohol, because they were different religions, so they had alcohol in their home, but only grandpa, because I never saw my aunts and grandma drink, just grandpa had it. But he was military, they drink a lot in the military, so he was military. So I know in his little man cave, because they had a little man cave where he would play cards with his military buddies. And I remember going in there, because, as a child, you weren't really allowed to go in the adult section. When you're little, you stayed in the kids area. But when I did go in there to get something out of the man cave area, because they had an extra refrigerator in there, I would see, they had drinks on the table. But it was always stuff like, bourbon, or I don't really remember all of them, but Jack Daniels, the stuff people would consider nasty drinks, right? So by the time I got older, they started coming out all the fruity kind of drinks. Like I said, I don't remember all of them, but they'll mix pineapple juice with cranberry juice and Sprite and these other little fruity mixtures, and then by the time they put the alcohol in, you don't even taste the alcohol. Those lemon drops, they'll sneak up on you like you wouldn't believe. So when my friends started, I was like, no, I don't drink alcohol. It's disgusting. I think I did taste it one time. This is how I knew about the Jack and those other drinks I just mentioned, because I had tasted it. I don't know. I hit a certain age, and somebody had gave me a drink, and I was like, oh my God, this stuff is nasty. Who would drink alcohol? This stuff is disgusting. But it was one of those harder liquors. That's why I thought it was nasty. So when I started hanging out with these friends, they're like, no, if you have these drinks, they're sweeter drinks. And I'm like, really? They're like, yeah, just try one. So I think that's how it started. Baby, when I had those like little sweeter drinks, I'm like, oh, this is good. This is like fruit punch. Somebody take the fruit punch. I ended up trying to moonwalk to Michael Jackson, and I would just put it like this. I'm glad social media did not exist at that time, because other stuff happened. So let's get into the financial part. Let me see if that's everything on that part. Let's just get to the financial. What I've noticed is did to my finances over the years, and how I make the change, and how I hope this video encourages you to make a change as well. So when I woke up out of my fog, because my brain was in this fog, and one day I just woke up out of it. I kind of just like went out drinking, and I just didn't feel good the next day. Like I was just like sluggish. I couldn't get up and get around the house. I couldn't do any chores. I was off work, like a Sunday or something. I don't know if it was a Saturday or Sunday. But how you can go out drinking the next day, you try to get up and just do regular chores, just run some errands, whatever. I couldn't do nothing. I was lazy. I was trying to recover from the night before, and I just couldn't move. So anyway, I was like, you know what? I also looked at my bank account. I said, we go to happy hour. Happy hour is like $5 items. Remember, this is Texas, so it might be a little higher in your areas, but we'll have, even if we go to nice places like Morton Steakhouse, they'll have like $6 sliders on the menu. They'll have like $6 or $7 little mini tacos and little spinach dips, whatever. And then and even if I go to some of our favorite sushi places, they'll have like sushi rolls, 6 sushi rolls for $5 or $6. So it'll start around $5, it'll go up to maybe $10, and then the drinks will start around $5 and go up to maybe $10. That's the happy hour prices. So I started noticing even going to happy hour, and especially as nice and as social as I am, I would think, I'm just gonna pay $20 or $30, and then by the time I wake up the next day, I've already spent $150, $200 to go out. And I'm just like, wow, where did that money go? I just went to happy hour. It's supposed to be cheaper than, going out. But then you start buying stuff for your friends. You may meet someone at the bar. Y'all start talking to people at the bar. And then they're either buying you stuff too. And then you're buying other people's stuff. Like, let me get that. Give us another round of, bring that on over here. Go get us another round of sushi rolls. Yeah, get us that. Drinks, how much is a bottle? Oh, it's on happy hour for $20. Bring us the whole bottle. Champagne, stuff like that. You'll be like starting off one way, but by the time the night goes on, or the time goes on, you're still at the bar. The happy hour started 3 to 6 p.m. You're there 8, 9 o'clock at night, still having fun. Or you may say, oh, we're finished at this spot. Hey, you might meet some people at the bar, and they be like, hey, we're gonna go over to this spot. Y'all want to come with us? Then you're over there with them, and so it's stuff like that. And so I started looking at. I said, well, one day I was just like, man, look at how much money I'm spending on going out and this alcohol, and a lot of my bills, the alcohol, because when I look at the bill, just the food portion, it's not that much. It's the alcohol portion that's the most. So I'm like, if I have 4 to 6 drinks or whatever I had, I'm like, oh my God, that's where the majority of this bill comes from. I remember like going to some clubs and like coming home you make it home, you pass out. And then the next day you have these charges on your bill, and you're like, I don't even remember buying all this stuff. And it wasn't like something astronomical, but it's like, maybe I would remember, okay, I only had 3 drinks, so I should have paid like maybe $60, because the clubs is more expensive. It's like $20 a drink sometimes, $15, $20, depending on where you go. So then you might be like, well, I should only spend like $60 plus with a tip, maybe $60, and you'll have like $150 charge or something. And so I was like, sometimes I feel like, when you're coming up to the bar, they know you're drunk, they run your card extra, or maybe they made a mistake because they got your tab mixed up with someone else's. Regardless, just coming home, and that didn't happen a lot to me, because I don't get that drunk, or where I can't recall where I am, but I just remember sometimes that would happen. And so I just wanted to advance in life, progress, work on my financial independence, work on my life, myself, I realized I didn't want alcohol in my life anymore. I realized I made a mistake. My parents were right. I should have stayed away from it, should have stayed off of it. It was a great way to meet a lot of people at that time that I'm not even half of them. I'm not even friends with. I don't even know half of those people anymore. People I bought drinks for at the bar, of course, I don't even know who those people were. So I realized in life we are wasting a lot of our money on booze. The cost of booze, even if we go to a liquor store and buy it at the liquor store, just the cost of it is still more expensive than a bottle of soda, a bottle of water, a bottle of fresh squeezed juices at Whole Foods. So we're destroying our liver, we're destroying our brain cells, we're destroying our, it's causing all kinds of irreversible health damages. They say it increases our risk of cancer. We're doing all of that for this alcohol that causes us to have all these other problems in life, problems in our relationship, if we're, being fighting with our partners, problems with our job, if we lose our job because we made bad bad mistakes for the weekend, we're in jail, then we got to call in and say, hey, we won't be at work, or somebody got to call in for us, tell them we're not going to be at work on Monday or Tuesday. That's never happened to me because I've never been to jail, but I'm just saying, the stories that I've seen from friends and people I know, and the stories I've heard about, it's just horrible. So I just did these numbers for myself. Of course, you can do your own numbers as you go through your bank statements and look at over the years how much you have spent and wasted on booze and alcohol. And I would encourage you, as I wrap up this video, I would encourage you to, I quit cold turkey. And I started replacing it with fresh squeezed juices, working out at the gym, running, walking, lots of water. So it was easy for me. I don't know why. Once I just had that last one, I was just like, I don't want this in my body anymore. I want my energy back. I want my mind to be at top peak, especially as you're aging. We get Alzheimer's and stuff start happening to the brain as you're aging. You need your brain to be in the best condition it can be in, and your heart and everything, because you start aging and having these health problems, and it's no joke as you get older. So I looked at, going out with friends, spending about $150 a weekend or $200, and there has been some $400 nights too, guys. Don't get it twisted. There hasn't been any $400 and $500 nights. I'm just giving you on average. So on average, $100, $200 going out Friday, Saturday, and maybe on a Sunday for brunch, spending roughly around $100 to $200. And sometimes I would, like I said, take care of my friends too, pay for their stuff. So that could jump sometimes, but on average, spending about $400 to $800 a month. I calculated roughly about 10 grand a year going out the door. There has been some years, I don't even want to say the number, where it went up way more than that. Like I said, there's been some years where I really spoiled my friends and the people I was hanging out with. But for this example, I want to use $10,000 going out the door on drinking and going out. And so I looked at, if I put that money away for 10 years, that would have been $200,000 towards financial independence and retirement. In 20 years, that would have been $800,000. And in 30 years, that money would have grown to $2.7 million. Now, that doesn't mean I put $10,000 1 year and it grew that much. That means if I stayed drinking for 10 years, I've already wasted $200,000. If I stayed drinking for 20 years, I wasted $800,000. If I keep drinking for 30 years, I waste $2.7 million. These calculations was also done on a 10% annual return in the stock market. Of course, there's other businesses and real estate investing we can talk about in the other videos that I'm making. But it just goes to show you, just work the numbers. Look at what you're spending. Look at how drinking is causing you your financial independence, your financial freedom. This is why Americans are staying stuck. So we got a debt cycle problem where we're encouraged at a young age to get into a lot of debt, take out credit cards, take out student loans, take out mortgages we can't afford, just certain car loans, like all that. We're taught that at a young age. Now we're also on a drug called alcohol. So the United States in the media and the marketing and all these tactics, because why I say the United States is because earlier, like I said, during Prohibition, they realized the government needed revenue. So they made it legal again. So this is all, even if the government has more data saying, hey, we really need to ban this alcohol. It's really causing all these problems we're seeing on the news. This is caused from alcohol. If we cut it back or cut down on it or eliminate it, would we have these same problems that we're seeing on the news every day with, families taking other family members out and taking out their own children, store robberies, carjackings? Like, will we continue to see that at the rate we've been seeing it? Would people be going to jail? Would the jails be full as they are right now, So that's why I'm bringing that stuff up, because the government knows, they probably have more research and data on this, is what it's doing to our brain than we realize. We think it's just like I said, that fruity drink, that lemon drop. Remember I told you about the lemon drop? It's just a fruit punch drink. It's no harm to this. It's not doing anything, but it's altered the brain It has caused me to make a lot of regrets that I have in life, even though I pretty much kept a pretty good life. I mean, I didn't get into like a lot of trouble. Like, actually, I didn't get into any trouble. But just like when I mean trouble, I just mean like fights with friends. Like when I think about reckless behavior, fights with friends or fights with family, things that I probably would not have done if I wasn't drinking alcohol that day. Those are the mistakes I'm talking about. So, and also spending the money that I could have been saving and investing. That those are the other regrets and mistakes. So I feel like I was in this foggy state where I couldn't come out of it. It was like I was in this daze or this dream or this, get up, this cycle, get up, go to work, make more money, spend the money, get up, go to work, that cycle. And then, oh, I want to start a business, but how, oh, I'll do that next year. And then next year gets pushed back. Oh, I want to join a gym and start getting fit, but I'll do that next year or next week or whatever. And then next week gets pushed back or whatever. So it's stuff like that. Like it pushes you in this fog where you're like, I'm going to do this. I want to change this in my life, but you can't change it because you're in this foggy state. You're on this drug. You're on this substance. You're on this alcohol. And I never was an alcoholic or anything like that. I just went out drinking like on the weekends, like work my job, whatever time my job was. And then, go hang out with my friends. That was the only time I drink. I don't bring alcohol into my house at all. So, I just want you guys to look at your finances and also talk to your children about this, because I feel like why it's so common, why it's so hard to get people to see what I'm talking about, and other people who are trying to get people to see that alcohol is an issue in our country is because they're so used to, they grew up on it from a small child as it being in their TV commercials, like I said, music. So now they're brainwashed to say there's nothing wrong with that. But if you go to another country, like I said, more Middle Eastern country where they don't even allow it at all, then they're raised differently when they're saying, I'm not, and of course there's people in their country probably sneak alcohol, or once they leave that country, they'll probably go, oh, I'm in London right now, so let me get turned up, I'm not saying all of the people who grow up there, live there, are all religious and abiding by the rules. But what I'm saying is they're not growing up like we're growing up here in America to be turned up on all this alcohol. They can actually grow up and be like, yeah, we have weddings and everything. We don't need no alcohol. Whereas here, you tell somebody you're gonna go to a wedding, there's no alcohol, or a party, they're just like, what do? We can't figure out how to socialize without it. It's not, it's not gonna be a fun party unless we got booze, and it's like there's a whole country of people, bigger, probably more people than most of the United States, where they don't even allow it, and the people are functioning just fine and productive just fine. So guys, just don't, just talk to your kids, because if they continue this cycle, they're going to have the same problem. And you don't even know if your kids are going to grow up. They're going to ruin their finances. First of all, I know that for almost, it's so much statistics on how much finances have been ruined. Finances and marriages have already been ruined over drinking. And those are the two things that affect most relationships, is because also it causes immorality. So it causes you to cheat. It causes you to, infidelity. It causes a lot of, immoral things. So, it's just gonna add on to that. But I would say just talk to your kids about it, because you don't want them to continue the same cycle. And also, you don't know if your kids are gonna have any kind of mental issues where they'll start drinking and then it'll alter their brain, and now they're going out shooting up schools, they're going out shooting, road rage or whatever they're doing, and you're like, why would my kid do that? Because they were drinking alcohol and it altered their brain somehow. And they may not be drunk when they go and do those incidents. Sometimes they may have had a drink 1 or 3 days ago, but it's still feeding on their brain. It's still eating away at their brain. So anyway, if you do decide to give it up, drop a comment below. I want to hear your story. Also, if you check your bank accounts and tell, I want to know, like, how much are y'all saving when y'all do give it up? Like, how much have y'all been able to save? Where are y'all going to invest that? That's some cool stuff. I would love to know about your journey. And thank you so much for watching this video. I will see you guys in the next video.